What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to go over the 10 essentials. The 10 essentials are the basic items that you should carry with you at all times when you're in the backcountry or even out hiking. These are the things that will get you out of a sticky situation if you guys get stuck out there overnight or even just lose something or anything else like that. So the first item on the 10 essentials list is extra clothes. Basic pair of wool socks. I also pack a extra shirt, extra insulation layer just in case, depending on the time of year as well. But socks are super important. If your feet get wet, you're kind of screwed for the rest of the trip if it's not a extremely hot day. So extra clothes are definitely something that you must have with you at all times. I mean, even if you just get stranded overnight, it's an extra layer that you can throw on. Second item that I have is a rain jacket. This is actually a Columbia windbreaker, but I also waterproofed it, so it's good for more of the summer waterproof layer that I can just throw on in case it sprinkles a little bit. That's typically what I carry in my pack for rain protection. I also carry my down puffy that I always have with me just as an extra insulation layer. Next on the list is a knife. I tend to carry a fixed blade knife just because it's what I prefer. It's what I'm more comfortable with. A lot of guys like to carry Leathermans or the traditional scout knife where it's the two blades or the blade with the can opener and a smaller blade, but I just prefer the fixed blade knife because that's what works for me. Fire starter. Fire starter is a very, very important item to have with you in the woods. You can either carry a lighter, matches. I prefer using a flint and steel. Or not a flint and steel, it's actually a ferro rod. And I can spark. I have magnesium on this to accelerate if it's too damp outside, as well as a fat wood handle. And the fat wood handle is great because with fat wood, it's a highly, what am I trying to say? It's very resinous, I guess is the right word I'm thinking of. There's a lot of resins and saps in it, so it's water repellent. And even if a fire steel gets wet, you're still able to light it. Unlike a Bic lighter, for instance, the Bic lighter after a while will, if it gets too cold especially, it won't be able to spark, and you won't be able to use it as an ignition source. So I like using the fire steels just because, well, again, just the same as the knife, it's what I'm most comfortable with. Along with my fire steel, I carry a tinder pack. Essentially what this is just an Altoids tin. I punched a small little hole in the center and took some pure cotton and put the cotton in the tin and then put this on my pocket rocket and made char cloth. And char cloth is a blackened cotton. And I will take one out. So this is a piece of char cloth. It's essentially the cotton that is stripped of all its fuels, and all that's left is the charcoal itself. So it's a very, very thin piece of charcoal that you're able to catch a spark to real easily. The other thing that I have in here is birch bark. Rough this up, great fire starter. I also have dried cedar bark. Same thing, rough it up, it'll catch a flame or catch a spark really well. As well as, give me a second, I need to get this out. Jute twine. Jute twine is a natural rope or cord that if you cut off, like let's say a couple inches, just this much, and you just take the blade of your knife and run it up and down, it'll create all these little fibers. That is another way to go ahead and catch the spark for your fire. So that's my fire kit. Those two things. I have plenty of options to be able to get a fire going, and I won't have an issue as long as I have a good fuel source. Next thing, spare food. Always have trail food on you. You don't know how long you're going to get or be out there. You don't know what you're going to expect on the trail. I prefer mixed nuts. It's one of the best ways. You can also use Gorp, the good old peanuts and raisins. A lot of people like to add chocolate in there, especially dark chocolate. That's very, what am I looking for? Calorie dense. That's the key, is you want dense calories, and that'll really, really keep your body going. Next thing I'm going to talk about is first aid kit. Now, typically the pack that I carry is a mole pack, and I just strap this right to the outside. I bought this cover, or this bag, empty, and I built my own first aid kit. It's important to build your first aid kit or tailor an existing first aid kit to your abilities. Don't carry anything that you don't know how to use, that you're extremely confident in using. If you do and you don't, or and you think you know how to use it, that's just gonna cause issues, because you could end up hurting somebody even more than they already are by using a item that you don't know how to use. Any personal medications that you may take, keep those in your first aid kit, as well as in your pack. Just that way you have double redundancy. And keep some on you if you can. What else? Flashlight. So growing up, I was always told that you want to carry a flashlight and extra batteries. That was with the incandescent bulbs. And nowadays with the LED lights, they'll be able to last 5-6 times longer without having to change the batteries. What I always do is I always replace the batteries for an overnight trip before I go. That way I know they're fresh, and I don't have to worry about them running out on me, just leaving me out in the dark. But I also always carry a headlamp and a torchlight, just a regular handheld flashlight. Don't have to worry about losing one. I always have one on my body, one in my pack. Put them in the exact same place every single time, so I don't even have to think about where it is. I always try and keep my electronics the same battery, because if you start carrying 4 or 5 different kinds of batteries, it's just going to get confusing. You might not have the space for them. It's just going to add a bunch of bulk. If I do carry an extra set of batteries, I only need 3 batteries. Both my headlamp and my torchlight use the same battery. Second thought, give me 1 second and I will go get that real quick. All right, I'm back. So this is my torchlight I carry. I got this at, what was it, Dick's Sporting Goods a couple years ago for like $15-20. It's a Field and Stream brand, 1AA. It's got the, what was it, beam control, I guess. Push button, on and off. I love it. I carry it every day. I use it at work. Never had any issue with it. So those are the 2 flashlights that I like to carry. Then the last thing, let's see. Let me count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Second to last thing for your 10 essentials is a map and compass. Always have a map. If you can't find one before you go on your trip, always make sure you can find one. It's a basic necessity. Even if you don't have a compass, you can figure out where you are, the turns you made, and you can figure out where you are pretty easily. But make sure you can use these in conjunction with each other, because that's going to make your life a lot easier in case you get lost. Compass, always try and find one that's water filled. It's going to be the most reliable for you. This one, I think we got it for $10 or so at Dick's Sporting Goods or something like that. It's got an adjustable declination, and if you don't know what a declination is essentially the difference in the magnetic field depending on your geographical location in the world. So for instance, if you're in, let's say, North Carolina, it's going to be a different declination than over here on the west side in Washington. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Washington's declination is 19 degrees, 17, 19 degrees. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll put it in my notes as well. Finally, water bottle. I prefer a Nalgene. This is one that I got for Christmas. I like it just because it's insulated. It's great for the winter, not having to worry about it freezing as much. And even out here, you're not going to get your water to freeze unless you're outside for overnight or so. Nalgenes are great, heavy, but I think we have 10 of them. Water bladders are always great as well. You can just go ahead and fill them up and drink out of them as you're hiking. Can't do that with an Nalgene because of the wide mouth. They'll tend to spill everywhere if you're not stopped and drinking. Another one that people really like for the lightweight guys or ultralight guys are the Gatorade bottles as well as the Smart water bottles, just the disposable ones. They weigh next to nothing and they still hold 32 ounces. So that's what I have for 10 essentials. I have a couple other things that I like to add. Actually, forgot one thing. What am I doing? Sun protection. Hat, buff, sunglasses. Simple. Just keep your sunscreen as well. I personally don't use sunscreen. Just never had a sunburn, never really had to worry about it. So, protect your skin. It can make a really uncomfortable trip for you if you're not protecting your skin. If you end up getting a sunburn, if you're really prone to it, be aware of it. And just protect yourself. Don't do anything stupid that's going to ruin the trip for you or put your life in danger. This time of year, we have snow. We actually got about a foot of snow last night. And I was only able to work a half day today because everybody was closed. So winter gear, what I like to keep just in case I get into a slippery spot is yak tracks. Essentially what yak tracks are is a piece of rubber that goes over your shoes, and the rubber is covered in metal. It's kind of like a little spring. These are essentially tire chains for your feet. Great for over ice, snow, any slippery surface. They're awesome. There's multiple different models of them. There's micro spikes, yak tracks. Those are just two I can name off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's more. Essentially what they are is, like I said, they're tire chains for your feet and lightweight, light-duty crampons. Then the next item that I carry every time I go out into the woods is 50 foot of rope. I carry rope. This is just climbing accessory cord. Like I said, 50 foot. I don't cut this one up. This is what I use for a ridge line for my hammock tarp when I'm hammock camping. For stringing up a emergency blanket. This is just a cheap $17, $20 emergency blanket that is heavy duty. I'll go into more on that. But I use that in conjunction with the rope and make a modified, what am I thinking of? Sunshade, rain shelter when we're out. Yeah, I use this rope all the time. Along with the rope, I also like to carry 25 to 30 feet of paracord. Just that way I have cordage that I can cut up. I can strap things down. I don't have to worry about the big, long, excessive rope. So yeah, back to the blanket. Essentially what this is just tarp material. It's reflective on one side, red on the other. It's great for signaling as well as keeping you warm. This specific blanket reflects up to 85%, I believe, of your body heat back towards you. So it's going to keep you a lot warmer. I've used it on a hike. We went to Eagle Peak last spring sometime. And when we got up to the top, we were both freezing. It was in the 30s, I believe, and it was in the 60s down below at Longmire. But yeah, it warmed both. Alicia and I both have one of those. Absolutely love it. And it's a great piece of gear, not to always have on you. It doesn't take up that much room, doesn't weigh that much. But yeah, it really helps helps you out when you're cold. Make an improvised shelter with it if you're stranded overnight, or if you forget your sleeping bag, you can make a baby sack into it. It's a 5x7 tarp, so it's a fairly good size for one person. But if you have two people with them, you can really double up on them and make a pretty good shelter for the night. So that's really all I got for this video. So till next time, we will see you guys later.